Beep beep. What is up, ninjas? My name is Sam World, and in today's video we're going to discuss how to transition without utilizing effects like white noise and all those cheesy ones that you seem to find in EDM tracks. Now, I find this video is going to be more helpful for people that are making music where those kind of transitions just sound a little out of place. As always, guys, who want to support the channel, make sure to head over to evilsounds.com. My camera is about to die, so we're going to start the tutorial right now. Let's get straight into it. The first way to transition without utilizing white noise effects, etc., will be to utilize a transitional cue. Now, usually this is going to be a melody, a sound, something that will alert the listener that there's going to be a change in the song. It will usually occur at the end of your 8 or 4 bars, depending on what kind of arrangement you're doing for your track. And you can see this done a lot. One of the experts in this field for me is Axwell. If you hear a lot of Axwell's music, he uses this to like great results. Now for this track here, I'm going to be utilizing a vocal that's going to moan, and that's going to alert you guys that something's about to happen. Now I'm not going to lie, usually pairing it up with some effects does help in creating the transition a lot smoother. But again, instead of utilizing a sweep here, you can kind of use this in combination with a downlifter, a crash, etc. So we're going to play it from here so you can see how it works. Okay, so as you notice here, we get that little moan and then the transition happens. Now, a mistake that you can do with utilizing transitional cues is utilizing it almost every 4 bars. The key with it is to try and keep it simple and then combine it with other elements, for instance, from this video, that you can utilize to just keep things interesting. Now, over here, as we move along in the song, you're going to see it happens again after 16 bars. Again, just to keep things interesting, I didn't want to do it every 8 bars as I feel that would get a little tad bit boring. Okay, and then one more time here. Now in this specific area, now it's layered with another vocal just to keep things interesting. And again, you can do this in various different ways. You can open the cutoff more on the sound. You can do little things like so to just keep it interesting. The second way to transition without utilizing white noise effects of sorts will be to utilize a drone or a pad. Now, I don't know what to call this one, but the idea of this one is pretty simple. This is still going to act as an uplifter, but instead of pitching up, it's going to open and increase in volume. So in this scenario here, we're going to have strings from the Solina Arturia VST synth, which I believe is fucking amazing for this kind of stuff. If you go into the strings, there's a lot of different ones that you can utilize to do this, or if you're trying to do a deep house synth or the deep house string, which is just going to linger. So in this scenario, we utilize this in combination with some effects, I'm not going to lie, in order to execute it a little better and again make it sound more interesting rather than utilizing a long white noise that wouldn't fit the track. Okay, you're also going to see that being done over here. Okay. So again, you can utilize anything. It could be a pad, it could be a saw. Depending on the genre you're making, you might utilize more aggressive sounds like a saw, distorted opening up, a Res opening up, etc. But again, that's a really cool way of doing stuff without utilizing white noise to that extent. Now, again, I'm not going to lie, there is a bit of white noise which was created by resampling. But again, it's not obnoxious, and again, I think what creates a transition for me is the string just increasing in volume. The next example to execute a transition is going to be to get rid of low end, get rid of something in that bar that will let people know, okay, something's about to happen. And I think this one's a little bit more common sense. A lot of people tend to get rid of the kick, and then from there they create the transition. My favorite way of doing stuff, and what I like to teach people more, will be to utilize essentially a high pass on certain spots. And I'll show you guys how that's going to sound like. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of my transitional cue. And I'm just going to have this going, let's say we'll leave the crash there to act sort of as a release of the tension we're going to be creating with this. And from here, we're just going to kind of create the little transition here. So we can automate this guy again on the master. There's nothing wrong with doing it as long as you're careful not to run this quadrant super low, but actually keep it up where it's going to be, and you're not running it of sorts like so. So you're not doing a boost, just very simple like so. And from there, we're just going to go into the automations. You can see I kind of have it already, but we're going to accentuate it more to be 4 bars. And this is something you see a lot as well. So using little things, you don't have to do 4 bars, but you can also do just slight, maybe the last. And again, in conjunction with the transitional cue, that's really going to help a lot in just cementing that transition, making it feel organic rather than forced. So that's the idea with these kind of effects. The next way to transition without effects, well, I think this one might be considered an effects. When I talk about effects, I'm talking about like those really cheesy, just too much sort of uplifters and downlifters that make no sense. Now, I'm going to give a shout out for this one to one of my students that is taught by myself, Bound to Divide and Enamore, just because we did discuss this, even though I've already been doing this for a while. But I will give that shout out because he taught me some cool stuff that they taught him. Don't tell anyone. But again, we're going to utilize this. I'm not going to teach the main trick that was taught, but utilizing resampling, we can do a lot of really cool stuff. For instance here, if we know a piano is going to be introduced, we can create a reverse of that piano to transition. Now, you can consider reverse an effects, or you can consider whatever you want it to be. But to me, it's not going to be one of those cheesy ones. And I think it's a great way to transition and utilize, create uplifters, etc., that make sense in your track. So the way to do this is simple. What we're going to do here is just going to grab maybe the first part of this piano here. And we're just going to highlight, move to the left so that it plays. And then from there, just delete that for now. And then drown it in reverb now. Usually with reverb, you can design your own. For this tutorial, I'll be utilizing a preset, get rid of this. And then from there, maybe we'll leave it like this, as this never comes up on the song. So the piano has this sort of Rhodes vibe. Okay, so I'm running 2 screens, so you can't see the reverb in my screen below, but it's fine. I can't seem to pull it up, but it's all good. There's going to be Fat Filter Pro Cathedral on it. And all we're going to do is just record this shot here soloed. What resampling is going to do is it's going to record anything that is playing in Ableton at the current time. So we're just going to hit record. And then we're just going to let this play out so that we can kind of have a little bit of source material to work with. There we go. From there, what I'm going to do obviously is some warp and do a bit of a reverse to it. And the idea, again, as you can see, is that we're just going to sweep into it. Now, there's some really cool tricks that we can do here. One of the things that happens when you utilize something like this, it doesn't sound like it fits. So usually having it proceed a little bit to the right like so and doing a bit of a fade helps nail the transition a little better. From here, let's go back to what we had before, which is, again, just pulling this back. Okay, so the result's not as great as I thought it was going to be, but you get the idea of utilizing a return. It can definitely work a lot better maybe with sounds that have a little bit more higher frequencies than the piano, which is very down. Just because obviously to me this doesn't sound that good for the track, but you get the idea with the reverse. And finally, guys, the last one will be to execute silence. Hello, darkness. No, but you can execute silence in certain tracks. However, in this one, I decided to execute it, but I like to give the attention to something to create like a very satisfactorily, if that's a word, transition to just make things a little bit more like climatic. Okay, so it's gonna sound something like this. So something like that, and then the chorus comes in. Again, you can execute it in a way where everything gets quiet, maybe like a split second. But one of the things I like to do is I like to take away everything. So for instance, here we could execute something where we make all the reverb and delay from any element over here just get quiet. So, and then give all the attention to one element that will help, again, transition it. So that might be transitional cue, etc. But in some songs, you can execute sort of like quietness. So for instance, if I go we probably don't want it that long, but the idea is to just do it for a split second. Let's see if we can maybe do it here and see somewhat how it might sound like in a track. But I'm just gonna do that. Look at me noobing it up. There we go. So we might do something like, I think that's one of the best ways to do it, and it works really well in music that's a little bit faster and it's not as chilly or chill as the one I've been showing you guys, but that's what I like to make. But those are going to be the transitions, guys. All right, guys, so I hope you found those tips useful to create transitions, from utilizing transitional cues to utilizing, you know, getting rid of the bass, a pad, a drone, etc. And I hope that you guys get good use of it and utilize it in your tracks. With that being said, you guys take care. And if you want to support the channel, make sure to head over to evilsounds.com.